So, the movie Shadow DLC is finally out, and I just beat it, and I have some thoughts on this whole experience. I figured I haven't used this, extra channel in so long now, and I want to get my thoughts out on this, so I'm talking about it here this time. In case you don't know, on one of my main channels, Crossbound, I have, this 18-minute long video reviewing Sonic X Shadow Generations. Why did I just say Sonic like that? But yeah, I have this big Sonic Shadow Generations review where I do gush and glaze over it a bit, but it's, justified to me. I really like the game. And with this new level coming out, I wanted to talk about it, so here we are. If you haven't checked out that review and you want to check it out, there'll be a link to it in the description, pinned comment, and probably end cards and stuff. Anyway, onto this DLC. When Sega were coming out of the gate charging a whole ass £5 for this thing, I was expecting it to be a lot bigger than it was. Not like a major expansion for the game or anything, but I was expecting it to at least have a second act. Okay, the standard for every single stage in Shadow Generations is that there are some challenges, but the meat and potatoes of the stage is Act 1 and Act 2. This new extra Movie Shadow Tokyo stage only has one act. So what's effectively happening here is that we're paying £5 for what is literally just half of a stage. And that's kind of the make or break for my opinion on this. If this thing was free, I would be glazing it like crazy. I will not lie. This thing is not best viewed as a paid DLC for Sonic Shadow Generations, because as a £5 paid DLC, I just don't think there's really enough here. The Captain Toad Treasure Tracker DLC for comparison is 40 minutes long and runs you the same price as this, which is at most 6 minutes long. And I'm not saying that to make a point about oh, length equals better or whatever, but it is representative of how little value this DLC offers you. This thing is not a full-blown new stage for Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's a cool little cinematic experience promoting the upcoming third movie. And when viewed in that light, yeah, it's pretty cool. The set pieces are all great, the visual design is awesome, the animations are sick. What little level design we do get here is really good, which is what I've come to expect for stages in Shadow Generations, because god, this game has amazing level design. But what needs to be understood at the end of the day is that we are paying £5 for what effectively is a 4-minute long advert for the third movie. And let me reiterate, it's a really cool and well executed advert. But it is an advertisement. What I was expecting when I realized they were charging for this DLC was just another Sonic Shadow Generations stage themed around the third movie. You know, you got some challenges in Act 1 and Act 2. Maybe the Act 1 and 2 take about 4 minutes each to complete. It's viewed as a movie tie-in, sure, but it's also just a full-length extra stage that stands on its own alongside the rest. And what we actually got was almost there, but at the end of the day, it just feels like I paid £5 for half of a stage. And the blow of that would definitely have been softened for me if you could play as Movie Shadow across the rest of Shadow Generations, you know, in the other stages and in White Space and stuff. But you can't. This Movie Shadow skin is completely exclusive to this stage, and I do kind of get why. Especially if you're bringing Movie Shadow into cutscenes, I can see the concern of oh, we don't really want to re-record the entire game with Keanu Reeves, that would cost us so much. But I do think they could have just compromised by just keeping the Kirk Thornton voice lines whilst you're playing as Movie Shadow, outside of the Shadow movie DLC stage, you know? My take on this thing can just be boiled down to, if this was free, this would be absolutely goated. This would be so cool if it was free. As it stands though, with a £5 price of admission, it's pretty cool, I guess. I enjoyed it okay. It's just that, given that they're charging £5 for this thing, I would have liked to have had a full 2-act long stage. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of this DLC in the comments, and also, if you haven't, check out my Sonic Shadow Generations review. I put a lot of work into that video, and I quite like it. I enjoyed that video a lot. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.